Hello and welcome to episode number 234 of Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. I'm Patricia Steer. This is the secret show, and that means one thing and one thing only. Lots of talk and very little action. No, wait, that's not the script. Mark Sargent joins me. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Patricia. And if it looks like I had some sun recently.
Well, you did.
I did, and not in a good way.
Yeah, well, we are fresh back from Los Angeles, California area, Arcadia area, and the Salton Sea, which I'd never heard of before. We heard that there was going to be a group of skeptics who wanted to do a test to prove curvature. In fact, I think they even called it Earth curvature test.
Something like that.
Yeah, they called it something which had which presupposed the fact that the Earth had curvature, as opposed to just, potential curvature test. Anyway, whatever. Right. They're skeptics. And this particular group, led by a man named Jim Underdown, or as I've heard our guest who's here in holding pattern right now, Nathan Gonzalez, called him Jim Underprepared. And well, Nathan will tell us why he called him that in a moment.
Under prep.
Nathan is got it right. It's Jim Underprep or Underdown. Anyway, he's the leader of the Skeptic Society, and I think they're very close to the Los Angeles area or based out of it. And they wanted to do this test. And National Geographic was more than willing to go film it, and CBS wanted to come too. And it all ended up to be a big debacle. But that's what we knew would happen as flat earthers. And we didn't really want to go to this thing. You said no when you were first asked to go to the Salton Sea because you knew that the temperature is so hot there in the desert that there would be the usual thing that happens when we do site tests. There's that waviness with the high heat and the water that creates a lack of distant sight. So, some things happened during this test which made it completely unfair. And it didn't prove curvature, although, oh my gosh, the amount of trolling comments that have come on all of my videos saying, what do you say now, flat tard, now that the Salton Sea experiment proved curvature? So these must be friends of the skeptic group and Jim Underprep, or just people sympathetic to the globe. I have no idea. But anyway, without further ado, let's explain all of this a whole lot better with the help of Nathan Gonzalez, who was there on the scene. He was also at the Flat Earth meetup in Arcadia, which we'll get to a little bit later. And Nathan, you are doing a little bit of babysitting today.
Oh yeah, just dad stuff.
That's lovely.
Just taking care of the kids.
Yeah, I guess it's not babysitting when it's your own children, right?
Yeah, I don't get paid.
Yeah, there you go. Well, maybe you can eat anything you want in the refrigerator and watch anything you want on TV, though. It's usually how it used to work for me in babysitting days.
Yeah.
That's called being a grown-up, doing what you want.
Yeah.
Well, all three of us were there, and many other flat earthers. We'll go into when we can't even name all the names that were there. First off, what intrigued you about traveling out to the Salton Sea and watching this, even though you knew that flat earthers in general have had so many experiments not go well because we didn't prep? What did you want to accomplish by going to this? Were you thinking that maybe it would show that the Earth was flat?
Yeah, I was hoping. I mean, I felt confident that it would, considering they were talking about doing. Because it is, and when they were talking about originally getting the test started at like 5:30.
Yes.
The sun's just barely coming out. Shouldn't be super duper hot. But by the time they arrived, it was already 5:30, and we had to unload everything. We had to assemble everything.
Well, you didn't even have to. You were part of the Flat Earth team, and you took your time to volunteer to help the skeptics team set their equipment up. And I heard you say in a different interview that they used rinky-dink equipment and didn't know how to assemble it and really had no idea how to conduct an experiment. So in a way, flat earthers helped them set things up.
I was there to observe, but a friend of mine, Sasha, she told me specifically, she kind of like just volunteered me like, hey, I need you to go over to the other side. I want you to be on the side with the balloons, and I need you to just keep an eye on everything. Just make sure they're not doing anything fishy, you know. So that's what I wasn't. You know, I'm not going to go somewhere and just watch a bunch of people do a bunch of work and just sit back and relax. That's not really the type of person that I am. Please go in the room. Thank you.
Well, in a way, I think it was very big-hearted of you to go help them. Now, while you were over on the other side, I was on the side where we were watching. So for you, the sun rising was in your eyes. For me, I was watching, you know, from the side where most of the flat earthers were. We couldn't see you unless we used a P900 or something along those lines. And you had a friend over on the, let's call it the flat earther side, that had a P900.
Yes.
And your friend and you on the skeptic side of the Salton Lake, 9 miles across, were trying to help them, the skeptics anyway, make sure that across the way they could actually see where the balloons were going to go up.
Yeah.
So you guys were FaceTiming each other. Tell us what happened next.
So I started FaceTiming because I was getting so frustrated, just the lack of communication skills and lack of preparation.
Yeah, they were supposed to be the ones getting the line of sight, not you. But
yeah. I mean, we were just supposed to be there to observe. Like that's what we were there to. And I was just, I mean, the sun was already up. It was getting close to like 7:15, 7:30 is coming up, and it's already super hot. And so I got the idea to call my buddy, and he had the P900, and the gentleman who's actually filming me in the video, he started kind of like picking my brains, like, how can we help? How can we figure this out, you know? So I started thinking, and I figured I could use FaceTime to have him turn the phone around and point it to his viewfinder, and then I could use what he's seeing from all the way across the other side to locate the balloons that I'm standing right next to. So I started just kind of using it like almost like a remote control. I mean, you can see in the video, I'm like, all right, Josh, you know, zoom in. All right, zoom back out. All right, you know, go zoom in on these mountains over here and then come down. And then I spotted the cars that were on the highway right behind us. And I recognized the cars that were in the viewfinder from the cars that I'm like looking at, you know, with my own eyes. And
were you thinking at any time while you were helping out, wait a minute, they can see me, they can see the balloons, and they haven't even been launched yet. Therefore, there's no curvature.
Yeah, immediately when I spotted the balloons, it was like I didn't want to freak out and be like, we got it, we got you guys, you know, like. But I was asking around like, hey, what's the elevation? I was trying to get all the stats, you know, because these guys are supposed to be scientists and they don't even know like what the elevation is in the and you know where we're set up, and even Wendell, you could hear it in the audio. Wendell asked the gentleman who was in charge, is like, is there any way to figure out like what the altitude is here? And the guy was like, no, we can't. And I mean, for me, I would have had an altimeter, you know, and I would have been getting those readings like immediately. You know, these guys are supposed to be performing a scientific experiment. They don't even have like any kind of like legitimate equipment.
Well, that's because I believe they're so overly confident that Earth is a globe that they didn't need to prepare. It's just a bunch of stupid flat earthers out there.
Right.
Gotta be.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think they figured they had it in the bag. You know,
yeah.
It's like, we won't be able to see anything until they're up in the air. So,
if Jim Underdown and the rest of the skeptics group, if this is any indication on how all of their other debunks of phenomena like ghosts and, you know, all of these other things goes, I would imagine that everything they've debunked is probably true.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some supernatural stuff going on in this world. You know, I've had some stuff happen to me that's like, all right, that's not normal, you know?
Right.
But yeah, these they were so confident. You know, when I met them, they're like, oh, we won't be seeing them until they're 36 feet up in the air. So it doesn't really even matter, you know? I mean, that's literally what they said. Like, I asked them, how high are you guys expecting the balloons to get before? And they're like, oh, we won't see until 36 feet. And I'm like, oh, all right, we'll see.
You know, maybe they had come out before and done the test, possibly with somehow, I have no idea, but it's funny that they picked that number. Well, they on the other side with the P900, your Josh was able to see the balloons when they were on the ground.
Yeah, and not only Josh saw him, but I saw him. You can see in my video when I'm like about to hang up on him. He's like, "Oh, you can see him, right?" And I stopped and I look and I could just see him perfectly.
And next to you, one of the guys from the Skeptics group asked you what you were talking about, and tell us what he said and about the camera and his feelings about using such a camera.
Oh yeah, so as I'm locating everything, that guy David he's kind of like creeping over my shoulder, like looking at what I'm doing. He's like, oh, "What is he doing, man?" And Wendell tells him, "Oh, he's FaceTiming, and his friend has a P900 on the other side, and he's trying to zero it in." And and the guy's like, "P900, so it's probably not that great a what do you say, quality." He's like, "Probably not that great quality, right?" And I just laugh. It's like, because this guy doesn't know what a P900 is. Like,
yeah, and he said something like, you said maybe it's digital, and told him the zoom capability. And
yeah,
then
Wendell.
said, "Oh,
yeah.
It's digital. It's not real."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, so it's digital. Oh, okay, so it's not like real."
Yeah, it's not, because it's digital and a P900, it's not able to determine curvature, I guess.
Yeah. So so then, you know, when we find them and the guys are standing like next to us, and they're like, "Wait, what? Like, somebody, you have a friend over there that sees us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's over there. Like, go tell your people to go find him," you know. And you can hear him on the phone, and it's on speakerphone. It's so perfect. It's on speakerphone, and I have to like really kind of like, you have to blow up or raise up the audio to hear it. But he says something along the lines like, "What do you mean I can see it? There's curvature. They can't." And the guy's like, "Yeah, I know, but he sees it. Go over to him and tell him to point it out where it's at and zoom in there."
Wow. Well, right there, that the test, I mean, we know that the Earth is not a globe and there's no curvature, but right there, they really pretty much admitted that there was no curvature. But still, they let the balloons go up. The heat caused the balloons to pop, but of course they rose up to 40 some feet?
That's what Nat Geo said, that they saw them when they were 45 feet up in the air.
Right. Now, National Geographic was on the flat earther side and didn't know of any of the goings on about you and Josh across the way seeing the balloons at on the ground. So they were under the impression that when they got to that point of 40 feet up, that was the first time that they would be seen, thus proving curvature. So must have been frustrating for you as you made your way back across the way. In fact, from what I remember, you were halfway overjoyed about the fact that you'd, debunked those pesky debunkers. But then when you realized the National Nat Geo people and the debunkers on the flat earthers side of the Salton Sea were like, "Yeah, there's curvature." And the flat earthers were, rightfully angry because we knew it had everything to do with the temperature of the day. Do you think that the debunkers waited strategically instead of launching at dawn, which is when we all pretty much got there, like they were supposed to do? They waited until it was like 7:30 or something to start launching. Do you think that was done on purpose because they knew from watching our previous tests, because there's a lot out there, that's when the visibility would be lowered, thus putting it in the globe's favor?
The more I think about it, the more I kind of do feel like that. They might have like intentionally stalled, or maybe they just put like the worst guy in charge of trying to get it located, like purposefully or something, just to try and give them enough time to let the sun come out and get the heat done and everything. That's possible. I don't know these guys, but I know that when I went up and started talking to Jim and saying like, "How are you guys?" Like you guys saw it when it was on the ground, and he didn't.
Did he deny it? Did he lie, or did he even know that it was?
He didn't. He didn't deny it. He said, "Yeah, but your observer was at a higher altitude, and so none of that even counts." And I'm like, "What do you mean it doesn't count? Are you kidding me? Like, are you a scientist? All you have to do is take out the original numbers, plug in the new numbers, and then you can get your curvature, you know, and the target height, the target hidden height, and you can figure it out super simple. It's super easy. And he's like, no, it doesn't count. And he was just so wouldn't even reconsider. I told him, like, dude, I'll pull my phone out right now. I'll go to the website. I'll do it right now. You can see it. So
yeah.
I don't see it.
And we were asking him to go look at the Lake Balaton footage. He said that he wouldn't take any of that into consideration because we could have faked it, even if it was Guinness Book World of Records approved as the longest laser test, successful laser test.
Oh my gosh.
On, and he was saying that we're not scientists. But the funny thing is that we flat earthers, you specifically, and Josh and others, were able to get their experiment done. They're the ones claiming to do a scientific experiment, but it took the flat earthers to actually make it happen. So frustrating. And tempers were hot. Really, the weather was hotter.
Yeah. And just, you know, a little thing too is that on my video, you can hear them confirming that they have eyes on the balloon.
Yes.
And if those were the guys that were with IG and they were the ones with the cameras, they were on the shoreline. They were there on the shoreline. And you can hear them say, hey, they're ready. Because the gentleman, like when we located it, I asked the guy, like, should we let the balloons up? And he said, no, don't let them up. We want to make sure they can see it.
Till it gets hotter.
He said, no, don't let them up. We want to make sure they can see it before we let them up. You know, make sure they find it so they know where to look. And I'm like, oh yeah, of course, that's a good idea. And then when you could hear it at the end of the video, Wendell's walking back and he's talking to one of the blue shirt guys.
The IIG group, the skeptics group.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, we use FaceTime and it's really cool. But then the audio in the background, you could hear the guy who's in charge says, all right, ready to go. They're good. They're ready to go. They can see him. And then up, and the balloons go up, and then the rest of the test was an absolute disaster. Except before the test got underway, it was an absolute win, you know? We killed it.
Well, we are so lucky to, even if all of us flat earthers already know that the earth is not a globe and there wouldn't have been curvature if it had, you know, there was no curvature. It was an optical illusion if there was due to the heat. We're very lucky to have had that video that you captured and Josh and, you know, the rest of the people that were involved. So, wow, thank you. That video footage hopefully will get into the hands of National Geographic, who, because they were on the other side where the flat earthers are, were under the impression that there was indeed curvature. And we're hoping that an hour-long program coming out sometime in October on the National Geographic channel is going to take into consideration your video and at least tell that side of the story.
Yeah. I hope so too. I hope they do the right thing and don't, you know, omit that, because it's really important that people know that that's actually what happened, you know?
Exactly. And, you know, we all know National Geographic is either on purpose or accidentally on the side of the globe and everything that has anything to do with the globe. They've had NASA and space imagery all over their magazine for decades. So we know that they're not open really to the idea of a flat earth, and they have presupposed that it's a globe, as most people have. But I think they're a little bit more on the side of promoting the globe and definitely not neutral. So they may just disregard everything that that you're passing along to them. But all we can do is try.
I'm hoping that once they know that we have this footage, that it'll almost be like having that bargaining chip. Like, you can't say that we failed because we have this footage. And if they try and do that, and now that the footage is out, like, people will know if they try and say it was a total failure because we have this footage out already. You know, and I think it would be unwise of them to try and skew it in a way where it was like a total failure when in reality it really wasn't. And we have, I mean, anybody could just go, like, if you guys put it on your YouTubes or whatever, like, you can just go and see that that's actually what happened.
Let everybody know your channel name, because on your channel where you put this footage up, you've requested that anybody take it and mirror it and put it on their channel. Where can people go find that?
Yeah. So my channel's Bipolar Flat Earth. It's BIPOLAR Flat Earth. And you'll see the last video that I posted is the one in the experiment. But I was wondering if I could share a really, really cool kind of like synchronicity as far as what happened and how I actually ended up on that side with the balloons.
Please.
'Cause I haven't told you or Mark or anything, but so when I got there, and Sasha told me like, "Hey, you got to go to the other side," and I was super kind of bummed out, like, man, I'm gonna be like the only one over there. I don't really want to do this, you know. I want to be with my friends, and I almost wanted to tell her no, like, you know, could you find somebody else? Like, I just want to be hanging out with you guys, you know. I don't want to be over there. But I kind of, she was like, I don't really trust anybody else, and so I didn't want to argue with her. So I was like, all right. But the whole time I'm just like, oh man, I don't want to do this. So then she tells me, okay, go over this guy Ross, and he'll tell you like where you need to go and what time you need to be there and everything. So I go over to him and meet him, and he starts showing me the map, and he's like, okay, you're gonna go. There's this like jetty road thing right here, and that's where you're gonna go. We need you there 5 o'clock, 5:15 at the latest, because we're gonna get started at 5:30. And he said the jetty, it's the street. It's called Capri Road, and actually my oldest daughter, her name is Capri, and so when I heard that, I looked at my buddy Jason and I was like, excuse me, what was that again? And he said, oh, it's Capri Road. And like immediately I just knew it was like,
That's the sign.
that was it. I was like, all right, okay, universe, all right, I'm going. I'm gonna
Without
go.
you there, without you there, we wouldn't have this piece of, let's call it intel, against the IIG, Independent Investigations Group, the skeptics, the blue shirts. They were all wearing blue polo shirts.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
your daughter done good.
Yeah. So I was like, Capri? Okay. All right. I got it. I'm not going to argue. Okay. We'll do it. And so I just felt like immediately from the get go, because I mean, you were asking me earlier, why did I go out there? And I went out there because I had this feeling like deep down inside that I had to be there, and I couldn't miss like this opportunity to, because I mean, this could have potentially be like the next step of, you know, the movement of people waking up is this documentary, and it has that potential, and I knew I had to be there, and plus it's in California. I live in Southern California, and I try and make it to like everything that we do that's flat earth, you know, all the meetups. I've been going to the meetup since the very first one that Aaron Kreischock put on in LA in like early 2016. And it's really important, you know, for all of us to go out into the real world and tell people in real life, and not just be like a keyboard warrior, and not be ashamed of it either, because the more people who come out and are open about it and not ashamed of it, and don't take it personal when you get made fun of, and just keep putting the truth out there, because every time that truth goes out there, it's going to go into somebody's head. When you hear flat earth, it just gets buried in there, and whether you think it is or isn't, like, it's in there. So then when you hear about it again, it's like it's still there, and then again and again and again. And I can't tell you how many people that I told, you know, because there was like a whole year where I just went out and told everybody I possibly could, like in real life, everybody I worked with, you know, and all my friends and family. And then I realized that's like, you know, going so hard like that, like talking about it all the time, is like not really a good idea. It's not very healthy, because, you know, you just end up arguing a lot.
Right.
And so I stopped, and now it's crazy, because like people come up to me like at my work, just random employees are like, hey, I heard you think the earth is flat. What do you think that? Or a coworker, or a coworker of a coworker that heard about me and knew my face and saw me in a store, and they're like, hey, what do you think that? It's crazy how many people approach me now, because they keep hearing it, and they're going to keep hearing it. And we need people that are out there that are not ashamed to speak about it, and that know how to have a conversation and not be argumentative and not be aggressive, but listen to listen to the questions. This is the basic questions, because we all hear those same basic questions all the time.
Yeah, it's hard not to be annoyed at them, but yet we have to be calm and remember where we used to be before we got where we are now.
Exactly. And we all, everybody asks those same questions. So it's just, if they ask the question, just answer it. It's simple. It's very simple. Answer it. And then, of course, you're going to ask another question. But I think the real change is like people talking about it. Oh, and I want to tell you guys too, Josh, my buddy who was the one that had the P900 on the other side on the observation side. We're getting a lot of questions about these experiments. Everybody wants to know what the exact height of the observer was, and the exact height of the balloons when they're on the ground and everything. And because nobody wants to believe it, because the Earth can't possibly be flat, And so me and Josh, we're going to go back and we're going to replicate the experiment.
Oh, yes.
At night. We're going to do it at night. We're going to do it
Yes.
10 times better than IIG did it. We're going to document every piece of information. We're going to have altimeters. We're going to have the barometric pressure, windage, temperature. It's all going to be documented. We're going to destroy it and put, just put it to rest right there. And then we're not going to stop there. We're going to keep doing it. And we want to do one like every month, and we want to do it publicly and invite everybody to come out and see these experiments in real life.
Including IIG, the skeptics group, I'm sure.
Yeah. Say, hey, you guys did it last time. It's our turn. And you guys can come watch this and see how it's done. We'll
Right.
show you how to do
Exactly.
a real scientific experiment.
Well, with the way you're talking with the barometric pressure, et cetera, and the time and the exact measurements, that's very much like FE Core did their Lake Balaton experiment, and they hopefully will do other experiments in the future. Having that information is a far cry from what IIG did, and that makes it a real scientific experiment. And the IIG people should definitely learn and take note. When do you think you're going to do that?
We already have
expect
the date. We already have the date. We're already getting it set up. We're getting hotels. We're getting everything prepared. We're buying all the equipment right now. It's going to be the end of this month on the 27th and the 28th.
Okay.
We're going back.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for coming up with that idea and doing it. And, thank you for being here on the show. Once again, it's Nathan Gonzalez, and his channel is Bipolar Flat Earther. It'll be linked in the description box of this video. Feel free to find the video that he has there about the Salton Sea and share it on your channel. You've got Nathan's permission. The more eyes on it, the better. Nathan, we hope to see you again soon. I know we will. That's how it works in the flat Earth.
Yeah. It was awesome getting to meet you guys and see you guys and do this with you. I really appreciate
it was awesome. You are a big guy, but you're very gentle and soft-spoken, and I really like that about you.
No, thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay. Thanks, Patricia.
Bye, Nathan.
See you, Mark. Have a good one.
Well, in a couple of minutes, we're going to be joined by somebody that we both know. We kind of know him as Josh Uber, Uber Flat Earth. He drives an Uber, and he was there as well. So he's going to pop on in just a second or two. I want to give a shout out to somebody that Nathan mentioned, Sasha Isaac Young. Sasha Isaac Young wrote me just earlier today, and not knowing that Nathan was going to mention her, she was saying, hey, thank you, nice meeting you at the event. And I was typing while Nathan was talking, typed at her and said an email and said, hey, thank you so much for coming out. It was great meeting you. And by the way, you're being mentioned right now on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. And she said, I'll tune in. Thank you. She said, I assigned Nathan the job of being on the other side. I'm so proud of all of us. It's all so amazing. So shout out to Sasha Isaac Young as well. So we're going to have Uber Flat Earth on in a couple of moments. And that's not the Josh with the P900 that Nathan was mentioning. Oh, and there he is now. Hello. How are you, Josh?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going, Patricia? What's up, Mark?
Hey, man.
Well, why don't, Mark, you take the lead now? Let me give me a chance to get some breath here. And why don't you guys chat a little bit about being at the Salton Sea, everything that you saw, Josh, everything that you felt, and what do you think that National Geographic is going to do with this information that they've got?
Do you you want me to lead on that?
Yeah. What do you think, Josh? But yes, Mark as well.
Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead. Fire us out there.
Well, as far as Nat Geo, I'm pretty sure everyone there can agree that they were very biased about things. Just in the way that they argued things. Like, everybody that was not a flat earther that was there was a complete Glover. Even the skeptic team was not very skeptical, like, of their own beliefs that they already held. I mean, there's a bunch of footage that was caught from different live streams, like with Rob and Jaron. I was on Poncho Pete's. I think Lucy might have streamed for a little while. But there was tons of conversation going on, and I feel like they're not going to put stuff like that in there, where we were destroying them on every point except for where we already told them they screwed up on the experiment, because everybody already knew that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right. There was definitely, like it has been online so far, it was very, very polarizing. There were the flat earth groups, and then there were the other groups. And even though we outnumbered them, neither side was going to give an inch. And the blue shirts, they were absolutely, they were more wary of us. They didn't want to really hang around us much. National Geographic, they were just there to do the job. They were there just to shoot the footage and do whatever they could with it. And then there were some independent news teams as well, which was interesting to see. And they seemed to be a little more open than National Geographic. But like Patricia mentioned earlier, no surprise, National Geographic has been a huge backer of science and the space program ever since it was created back in 1958. So,
yep.
So when did you first roll in there? We had at least 30 flat earthers there, which was amazing considering the time in the morning. When did you
the remoteness of the destination?
Oh yeah. For people again who don't know what we're talking about, the Salton Sea, look it up. It is 2 hours plus east of Los Angeles. You are going into the desert, past Palm Desert, past Palm Springs, past Indio, and it is almost equal distance once you get there to San Diego as it is to Los Angeles. And it is hot. It was 105 degrees there the day before. It only got down to 70 during the evening, and the temperature was rising rapidly. So first off, thank you so much for showing up, man. I know you're not necessarily an early riser sometimes, but you were out there with bells on.
Dude, it was a blast. I got there a little bit after like 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
When I first pulled up, I pulled up on the other side of the lake, actually.
Yes, how many people did? We got we got to the wrong side. We didn't know where to go, and everyone was calling each other because it wasn't our tests. We didn't organize it. The skeptics did, and they didn't have a meeting point. They just said be there at dawn. So.
Yeah, and you were talking about the other crews, the film crews that were out there.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got to talk to what was their name? We Got You Media.
Was that the one in the with that little van that they were?
Yeah, in the far corner.
Yeah. I didn't even talk to them.
They were interesting, man, because as I was talking to them, they were asking like legit questions about flat Earth, not arguing, asking like what are you guys seeing that we're not, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because I have a clip on that I got off of Poncho's channel, right? Because I chopped out the whole section of where I was talking to everyone.
Right.
And when I was talking to these guys, I was still on Poncho's, and their cameraman came up to me and starts talking to me about how bad they're screwing up on the experiment, and starts explaining exactly what's happening with the perspective, with all the different conditions, man. It was it was wide out there how bad they were screwing up. And so talking with Sydney, and I think I told you that Sydney's actually the girl that started the experiment. Like it was her idea.
Right.
Apparently, she was in the meeting with those guys at IIG. She pitched it as she just wanted somebody to look over her test to like kind of like peer review it so it had legitimacy.
Right.
And then when she handed it to them, it kind of took on its own deal.
Yeah. Yeah. It took its
And
own
it
life.
blew up.
Yeah, to where Ross, who you met, the smallest of the blue shirts, he contacted me and said, "Hey, we're doing this test out there here. Would you like to come?" And I said, "No, it's going to be a suck test, and everybody knows that. You don't want to shoot this during the day. It's going to be awful. And plus, I mean, it was out in the middle of, as you know, in the middle of freaking nowhere, at the edge of a dead sea. And then I still wasn't going to do it. And then a little bit later, that's when National Geographic was just kind of looking for projects, but they wanted to be tied to flat Earth. And I said, okay, well, there's something in LA, out there. I'm still not going, but they can contact you guys, the LA teams out there. Maybe you guys will show up, right? And then they said, no, we want you to come in and let's turn this into a whole weekend thing where there's a meetup and all this other fun stuff. It's like, all right. And so funny enough, the test ended up being my least favorite part of the entire trip. Everything else I loved, but the test was just awful, mostly because it drug out. Because the IIG team was so underprepared that it took way longer than it should have. Not only did they not start on time, and if they had, it would have been over really quickly, but the second part, the raft part, was like a root canal. I mean, it just took forever for them to get that thing going. It's awful. But
that was so horrible. That was so bad. I felt bad for the guy. I'm gonna screw his name up again.
Nathan's friend.
Was it James?
I think it could have been James.
Jason,
maybe the kid that was in the raft. Anyway.
Yeah, dude, I kept confusing his name with Jason James the whole day. I felt so bad, man. I felt so bad.
How do you think? I kept calling Marietta, the lady from National Geographic. It's like, and I didn't do it to her face, but I'm sure somebody mentioned it to her.
Mariana Trench. It was impossible to remember even that sort of a trip on your mind.
It's awful. Anyway, so what did you had a chance to speak with a number of the blue shirts? What was your general impression? Uh-oh, he's frozen. And now you don't have any sound.
I've got sound now. Josh, if you can hear us, just come back with the same length. Something happened, I guess. By the way, I just want everybody to know that Josh Walker is not to be confused with Joshua Vale, who is the one that Nathan was speaking of earlier, who had the P900 on the other side. There's several Nathans in Flat Earth and several different Joshes in Flat Earth.
The video that I just released just before the show came on, and you guys
I'll link that in the description box. So
yeah. It is very important. And the footage was taken by Wendell, who was out there with Nathan, who we just talked to, out on the target side during the long distance test. And they just happened again to accidentally, because the Flat Earth community members weren't supposed to be part of this test in any way, shape, or form. And the part that they caught was damning, whereas they could not, again, because they were underprepared, they couldn't even figure out how to start the test because they didn't know where their team was on the other side. It's a common mistake. That's JV ball. And you're looking and you have no idea. And so we finally stepped in because it was getting late and said, okay, let's do what we can here. And during that process, it was caught on camera that, oh yeah, we found the target, which was on the beach, told them, and that's how they found it. And so if anyone ever talks to those guys, say, okay, tell us how you found the balloons in the first place. How did you know where your team was? It's because the FE group told them. That's how. Anyway, sorry, Josh, you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I actually ended up getting a phone call right now from I have no idea who. But so, speaking of footage and speaking of the other news crews and stuff like that, I just got a message from Sasha uh, you remember Sasha, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. She said, I talked to Gotcha Media just now, gave them footage from the other side. They are super nice and said they already have intended to use it.
Oh, in their production?
So, yeah. So at least it's going to be out there somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, no.
I hope Nat Geo would use it.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, because that's a 1-hour TV program. Not that any of us in Flat Earth care about TV programs or Nat Geo, but we're talking about getting the masses to see it.
10 minutes before this show went on air, I was informed by the producer, Justin, who Patricia and I both met, that they have it now. And I told him, I go, look, in the end, you can do with it what you want, but just know that we have this. And we have a huge head start. We will have at least 2-month head start on them. So if they come out and make a piece and say, oh yeah, it absolutely proved blah, 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 we're just going to shoot that video out to anyone that wants to listen, say, okay, here you go. But it was obvious. You know, again, I said this many times, I'll say it again now. Flat Earth doesn't do tests during daytime over water anymore because of the heat distortion. And for those who still don't know what I'm talking about, what I'm saying is, when you go, and any photographer will tell you this, you shoot down the length of a hot road, the hot asphalt, and you can see a car disappear in under a mile because of the heat distortion that's coming off that road. No different on the water. You shoot any length of water and the heat's bouncing off that thing, it is going to do that, which is why at the end of the video that I put out there, which I just released, called Flat Earth Skeptic, Salton Sea Skeptic target footage. At the end, I put the Skunk Bay footage, which Jaron and Rob Skiba and others have mirrored, which shows you what happens during the day. And that was an average temperature day, 50 degrees to almost 70 degrees, a little 20-degree swing there, time lapse. And it was not a Flat Earth video, but when they showed the horizon, you could see the water level varying in height because of the distortion waves.
I do have to add something. I had a number of people in the live chat, because I just checked it, saying they went to Nathan Gonzalez's channel, Bipolar Flat Earth, and bipolar is run together as one word, and they couldn't find the video, which I watched earlier today when he was talking on the phone across the way. I wonder if that's been taken down for some reason.
Yeah.
So maybe Nathan can message me at on Facebook and let me know where that video now is. So. Anyway.
You can always look on mine. I even put subtitles interspliced between certain segments just to give people perspective. It's like, okay, here's what's happening here. Here are the players involved, and here's how things progress. And it culminates in a part, again, where our guy from the state park side saw the balloons on the ground. And I feel bad for Nathan, because I was wondering why he was so upset when he finally got over to our side.
Yeah, because we didn't know on our side.
We didn't know. It's like,
happening.
What's he all worked up about? And then it's like, holy crap, that's why. It's because the test was over before it began, meaning we found it and we were standing right there, on the beach between them. And they can say, oh no, you were elevated. It's like, fine. If we were elevated, the highest point of that state park side was up at the picnic tables, and that was only another maybe 7-8 feet, maybe. And the point was, that test would have never happened without us, because we were the ones that saw the balloons first with our cameras and told them, and then they just dragged their feet until they couldn't see the beach anymore. And that's when they pointed National Geographic over and says, look what we can't see. It's like, really, man? Because we could see it the whole time.
Right. The video that Mark is talking about, that will have part of Nathan Gonzalez's video in it, is on his channel currently as of June 13th, 2018. And the name of said video is Flat Earth Salton Sea Skeptics Test Target Side Video. And it's about 11 minutes long. So
yeah,
I'll put that in here.
It's all of Nathan's video in there.
Of course.
All 6 minutes of it. And then the last 4 minutes is the Skunk Bay time lapse. Again, just to show people. And I built that thing really for National Geographic, because I want to say, okay, look, here's what happened over there, and here's why you never, ever, ever, wait for it, ever shoot daytime, curvature tests over water. You cannot do it. Not if the weather is warm at all. I mean, yeah, I suppose you could shoot it up in Minnesota in January, but any other body of water that has any heat fluctuations, no, you can't.
We might have lost Josh Walker because I
I
do
see
see
his
his icon, but I don't see the
icon. I don't see him.
man.
Josh, if you were
I'm
there,
still here.
Okay,
I'm still
cool.
here. I just turned off my camera for a second.
And that image
There
that
we
we're
go.
looking at is not as attractive as you. So bring you back. What is that picture?
That is okay. So on Poncho's channel, like last week, we were messing around with monkey images with Photoshop and stuff, and everyone had like monkey icons, and so that is Stephen Hawking with a retarded monkey photoshopped over his face
wow,
with his teeth and his headset.
So
horrifying.
thanks for telling
Absolutely
me.
Yeah.
horrifying.
Okay, thanks.
One of the scariest photos I've ever seen in my life.
Well, one good thing about the Salton Sea experiments, the bonding and the fraternity between all the flat earthers, meeting you, Josh, meeting everybody, and just hanging out. It's always a great feeling.
It was awesome getting to meet everyone. Rob Skiba, getting to meet you finally. Mark met you last year, so not that that doesn't matter, but you know.
Oh no, it's okay, man. I'm not hurt. That's fine.
That,
Yeah.
Well, that and dude, I talk to you like every week.
Yeah, I know. We talk after Strange World pretty much every week now, so it's not that huge big a deal. But the meetup, having you at the meetup was great.
Yeah.
It was the best meetup I've ever seen.
Yeah, almost 100 people there.
Yeah.
And that was in Arcadia. And we
No,
wanted
actually,
Netta for putting it together.
there was over 100 people there.
Really?
Nice.
At about 6:30, I counted like 90 people.
Wow.
Amazing.
It was awesome.
It was a successful meetup, and Netta, who put it together, her brother was involved in that too. Dan, the Waterman, helped get the model made by Chris Pontius there, one of his largest, most deluxe models yet to be on display. CBS News was there. And, obviously National Geographic and all of our Flat Earth friend groups.
You didn't have to worry about restaurant permits or anything like that. The venue was perfect. The weather was perfect. Aesthetically, I couldn't have asked for anything more. And everybody that shot it said, oh yeah, got everything they wanted and more out of it.
Yeah. And everybody that was there felt the same way. Yeah. It was a good time. And so, as always, I encourage people, if there's a meetup in your area, go. And if there's no meetup in your area, make one. And if you don't feel that anybody will come, just message Mark, and Mark will make a promo for your meetup in your town. Timbuktu, Arkansas, wherever it is, at the no-tell motel bar. Perfect. Get the information to Mark, and he'll put a little video together for you, and that'll get a little more interest in it. And you do your best on your social media, and you'll have minimum 20 people there, really. And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And real quick, guys, to give you a heads up, trying to get like a debate with those skeptic guys with the IIG team kind of wasn't my idea. It was Sydney's idea, but it seems like a decent idea.
Could be, potentially. Although you got to remember, no offense to anyone in particular, but that skeptics group specializes in anti-paranormal, phony psychics and phony fortune tellers and people that say that they can talk to ghosts and those type of people.
I would also like to tear them up about that one as well.
Yeah, that's what Nathan a little while ago, Gonzalez said. He said he's had some paranormal, if you want to call it, experiences himself.
Dude, I've had times where I was looking for something in my pocket, like a normal, just jean pocket, right? Like, and it would be something like good size, like a lighter or something like that, right? And there's not much in my pocket, and yet I could search my pocket for forever looking for it and just give up on it eventually. And then like 2 hours later, I'll reach into my pocket for something different, and the first thing I grab is my lighter. Like, stupid stuff like that, where it almost seems like somebody's messing with you, like they're hiding stuff from me for a second.
Right.
Most of the time, I just chalk it up to I'm an idiot, but I mean, that can't be all the time.
Well, no.
No, man, I have a ghost that consistently makes me have a hard time screwing on the tops of jars.
Yeah, Mark told me about that, and he literally can't screw. He's told me a jar, a threaded jar, the lid on a jar.
Threaded lid. I can't do it the first time.
Now he told me that, and I thought, well, that's ridiculous. And then guess what happened to me?
Yep.
Now I can't do it because I'm thinking about it. And every jar I try to close, I don't get it till the third try. Yeah. Now everybody watching the show, watch it yourself when you try to screw a lid on a jar. It won't work. And that has nothing to do with paranormal, but it's just a weird thing. I think it's more like a virus that you're spreading.
I think it is a virus. It's because I don't know why it happens and it ticks me off. I mean, we're not talking, I mean, like 5-6 times. I'm just sitting there.
Maybe
why?
Maybe it's another flat earth proof and we just don't even know it.
Could be.
Well, Josh Walker, Uber Flat Earth, the name of the channel. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. He's frozen again.
He's frozen. Perfect timing.
Perfect.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody. No, okay. So,
oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was fun. I'm going to eject him. I think that'll work. Eject.
Yeah, it was a fun weekend.
Yeah, and we got little presents as well. I want to show mine first.
Yeah, you want to show yours first?
Okay, so there's a guy that we met at the meetup that Netta organized, the Flat Earther meetup. It's the second one, I think, maybe the second one she's done. Maybe she's done more. Yeah. And his name is Woody. And he has a company called Woody Waves Woodworth. And he takes photographs of various things. Right. And he puts them in packages and he sells them in stores around the area where he lives. And he mostly is into surfing. And, like Woody Wagons, the Beach Boys, surfing and that sort of thing. He's been doing this sort of surf photography since 1972. And if you want to look at what he's got yourself, you can go to creationcaptured.com, creationcaptured.com. Okay. Anyway, so he sells these envelopes with these 2 beautiful 12 by 18 full color prints of whatever images are on the outside. Mm-hmm. And so it comes like this. And then inside, I'll open it right here. Probably going to rip the photograph open. Are these gorgeous photos that he takes? But there's more to it than just the gorgeous photos, which is the most important part, I think, somehow. There you go. Here's one of them. This is a beautiful golden wave. Look how gorgeous that is.
Yep, it's a great shot.
Okay, that's one. And you got different ones than I got.
I got one here, same sort of wavy thing. Mine is blue, standard blue wave.
These look like paintings, actually, but actually they're photos. Yep. And then we've got this here too, sort of a restaurant on a pier, which is really pretty.
I've got a pier too. I like my pier better than yours.
Yours is lit in the evening, but gorgeous as they are and skilled as he is as a photographer, he's taken a risk. And it's all for the good of Flat Earth. On the very back of these envelopes that he sells himself from his website, and also he distributes to various stores around where he lives, so people will just go in and buy them. He's got lists of truths about Flat Earth.
Yep.
Memes, information about.
There's a lot of info on the back.
So much. I mean, it's deep info. And if you're a person who wants to make money, which everyone does, I guess. That's the society we live in. You don't put this stuff on the back of your material. Nope. He's even said stores say to him, hey, I love your work, man, but can you take all this flat earth stuff off the back? It's not going to work. And he said, no, this is my creation. This is what I want to put out there in the world. And so that's what he's done. So he needs support. If you want a wonderful photograph in perfect condition, ready for framing, creationcaptured.com.
Flaming is something else.
Yeah, it is. All right. So thank you, Woody, for giving us those.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful.
Also, we received some books that were found by a flat earther who stopped off at who was a part of the Arcadia meetup. Right. And these are National Geographic Society books. Now, National Geographic Society is known to, where most people think, putting out beautiful photography about the world we live on. But of course, not when you see this. It's called Orbit, this book. It's an older book. And this is NASA astronauts photograph the Earth. And we've got a bunch of, globes in here and basic CGI and total paintings.
Right.
Obviously these Woody's photographs put these paintings to shame, but it is very interesting to look at. And, these books are very interesting. It's from a more innocent time. Right. And the commander of Apollo 8, the first mission to orbit the moon, has a quote on the back of this. I'll read it. "A magnificent testament to what we see and feel from space. Earth so splendid, Earth so fragile."
Right.
Makes me want to throw up.
And don't forget that National Geographic has been tied to the space program. Right. Just there. I mean, you got Apollo 8, the Apollo 8 astronaut signing off on that book whenever it was. I got not a National Geographic book, but something similar called Space Shots, The Beauty of Nature Beyond Earth, a smaller version of what you had. Mm-hmm. I don't think the forward was done by an astronaut because Nat Geo is the only people that can call them up and say, hey, write the forward to our book.
Somebody might say, why would you even go to the Salton Sea experiment or even talk to National Geographic? They're 100% biased for the globe. And not only that, they're tied in with the globe in such a way that they're shilling for the globe, maybe some without knowing it and some at the top by knowing it. Right. Well, if we didn't go to the Salton Sea experiments, all the National Geo people would have seen would be the skeptics group saying, obviously, curvature proven. We were there to be the counterpoint to it all, to tell the truth. And if we hadn't been there, we wouldn't have had a chance to get that word out there. So that's why we decided to speak to the media. And we know by speaking to the media, they will chop and change things we say. They may play clown music under us as we speak. We don't know what they'll do, but we know that all of us who went to the Salton Sea experiment and were caught on camera, and all of us who were there at the meetup, we're just being ourselves and with the best of intentions. So we'll have to wait and see in October when that Nat Geo show comes out.
They are going to let's. I will make a prediction. They are not going to surprise me in the least because it's a heavy space technology, science-based group.
Right.
Plain and simple. I mean, I'm not saying they're popular mechanics or popular science, but in their field, they might as well be. And the correspondent, the team that we were with, were there just to shoot the footage and send it back. The final editing will be done by the New York studios.
Yes, that's the bad part, because the New York studio people doing the final editing weren't there. They didn't capture the emotions of the flat earthers. They didn't feel the feelings, the heat. They didn't smell the dead fish. They didn't understand what was going on with the temperature and the true facts about that kind of experiment and how it can't be done in that situation over such a warm body of water.
But what they did capture, though, was the enthusiasm. And the flat earth community represented itself admirably.
Sure did. However, they may just see us as a bunch of enthusiastic kooks, which is why many who were there, including Nathan Thompson and Aaron Kreshock, and the gentlemen who were on here today, and many others were trying as much as possible to be calm and get on camera in front of National Geographic, talking to the blue shirts, the IIG skeptics team. So some of that hopefully will be captured by Nat Geo and put into their hour-long program, which with commercials probably will be 30 minutes of footage, and that will include the meetup too. So, I hope they just don't put everyone having fun at the meetup and then the balloons 40 feet up, done and dusted.
And if
it's a globe.
If they do, we can call them on it. And if anyone from there is listening, or anyone from any other group, if you burn us after we've shown you what really happened, good luck getting anyone from the community to talk to you about anything, because you can't be trusted at that point.
Well, at that point, they wouldn't want to talk to the community, because in their minds, case closed.
Oh, you never know. I mean, they might want to dredge us up again. Who knows? But either way, which is why I sent the footage that Nathan and Wendell put together almost immediately to National Geographic. And I said, look, here's what happened. I spelled it out for him, and here's an example of why we don't do the test like this. And
The day after the test, you and I went out at the hotel to breakfast with the main guy who was doing the photography for National Geographic.
Actually, it was Monday before we left.
Excuse me, Monday before we left.
Yeah.
We went out to breakfast with him and talked to him a little bit, talked about what really happened, the stuff he didn't get to see on the other side. And hopefully some of that would convince him. But then again, he has no say-so. He's just handing over his raw footage to somebody back in New York to put it together.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm sorry. You absolutely were right. Jeez,
Yeah,
I lost track.
I thought I was.
The problem. You were right. That we had an extra day that was basically just us on the day after the meetup. So we had a kind of a buffer day, which turned into one of the more interesting days I've had. We can't even talk about it. We can't even talk about it on air.
We can talk very vaguely.
Only that I can say that the Flat Earth community is bigger and stronger and more diverse than you had any idea.
And I'll say, we were, due to a Facebook post I made, contacted by somebody quite intelligent and very well known, let's just say famous. And we went to that person's house and spent several hours there. Yeah. And they turned out to be into all of the same things all of us are into. Yeah. Into things like chemtrails, into 9/11 truth, into flat Earth. Yeah. And they let us know that there are others within the world that he is in and his wife that are also the same. And we're talking a name that everybody would know. Everybody.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows.
He didn't even ask us not to talk about it. But talking about it would be name-droppy and also violate the unspoken agreement that we had as privileged guest in his home.
Yeah.
But it's the closet flat earther.
It is. Yeah. And remember what we've talked about for a couple of years now. Most of the community are closet flat earthers.
So if there's famous people, not like people like B.O.B., but famous people that are way more well known than him, this person would be, and maybe more credible in some cases.
Sure.
Then there's 10. You know,
there's a lot,
and not just famous people. Who cares about famous people? There's closeted flat earthers who bicycle food delivery guys or whatever.
Let me tell that quick story that happened on Sunday after the meetup.
Oh, of course.
Even though the meetup was, after the test, because even though the test was torturous, at least we were out of there by noon. And if I was I was the last guy to leave. And I was so
hot. I had to go sit in the car with the air conditioner running after several hours. I was going to.
I don't blame you. I would have been there too, but I couldn't because I was mic'd up and they kept bringing me into things. It was like, no more. Anyway, so
why are you making us suffer? The Earth is not a globe.
and they had me wear my Black Mark Sargent T-shirt, which Peanut Gallery sent to me just before. So not only was it black, it was extra black. It was brand new. It hadn't even been washed yet. So it was soaking up all that wonderful California sunshine and making me feel like utter crap. So remember in the documentary, and people have heard me say other things, where I've met people in different cities and different states that just out of the blue, could meet, say that they're flat earthers, like the security guy that worked for Homeland in or the
bag checker guy,
bag checker guy in Atlanta airport, or the bartender that was in at that hotel next to the hotel bar. And so here we are, right? Thinking, now I can finally go somewhere. And there was, even after all that flat earth madness and all the test stuff, there were still 15 flat earthers that banded together and went to a vegan restaurant in Palm Springs.
Yay, vegans.
Yeah, went to Palm Springs. And Lucy Lemons drove me there, of all things. It's like, well, how cool was that? And because she waited for me. She was the last one to wait for me. And we drive there, and and I sit down with all these flat earthers, and she's like looking around, and I can't remember who went up to the counter first. But going up to the counter, and the cashier was looking at us real intently, like, it's like, what's going on over there? It's like flat earth. And she looks at us at our table, and she does this, right away. It's like, are you serious? She goes, yeah.
And other people saw this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All of us saw it. They were like, yeah, we started cheering, and it was like Rob Skiba went over there and talked to her. And it was really, really cool. And she and her boyfriend had both been into it. So to your point, there are flat earthers in every walk of life. everywhere. You're walking by them every day and you don't know it until that, that fateful day when all of a sudden the scales tip and people, what's going to happen, where people like do it, it's like, oh yeah, I'm into that. It's like, really? It's like, how long you been in? 5 months? Oh man, I was in it 9 months or whatever it is. I mean,
or there's the people that say they've been a flat earther for 7 to 10 years. And then you look at them, what's your name? And then they tell you their name, and you're like, well, I never heard of you. And you wonder.
Exactly. Well, yeah, it's such a new community by comparison. But
are you a carpetbagger?
The little thing that we went to at the end of Saturday night, that thing you and I went to, I validated pretty much everything I'd said about the law of averages immediately, because the stories we were hearing, it's like, yep, I knew it. I knew that flat earth was everywhere, because flat earth doesn't discriminate. No one is immune to the flat earth grapevine, because flat earth is such a cool little gossip topic when you're trying to tell people interesting things. Yeah, that's what happens to people all the time, right? It's like, hey, did you know? That happens in so many conversations, and that's what apparently it's everywhere, and hopefully soon we'll find out how everywhere it is.
Well, day by day, it's revealing itself.
Day by day.
I want to let everybody know that this Sunday is the return of Glowbusters, but now on a channel called Glowbusters 2 because of an unfair community guidelines strike or something. So now the Glowbusters 2 channel is the one to be subscribed to. And Sunday, June 17th, it'll be the debut of a new season with Iro Landucci and Bob and Jaron and the Morgile off and on, sometimes Iro, sometimes Morgile, sometimes all four guys. Right. And so check that out. And Glowbusters returns. So congratulations to Bob and the crew for that. I do want to say a very special shout out to Stephen Chess. It is his birthday today. So happy birthday, Stephen.
Happy birthday, Stephen. Thanks for stealing my ride. So I had to hang out at the Salt
Stephen and I took off and went to a different vegan restaurant and left you to fend for yourself at the Salton Sea.
Rental car and said, see ya.
Bye.
Oh, no worries. It's only 90 degrees and climbing.
No, it was because I was running the AC. This was toward the very end of everything while we were kind of just waiting to leave kind of. And it was really hot. And I was running the AC and we were starting to run out of gas. So I'm thinking, well, I could go get gas and be nice and cool in the car and not pass out. Yeah. And Stephen was more than willing to drive. So
I was going to tell you that if anyone sees me re-uploading things over the next few days, I will be, because nothing serious. It's just when I was in Canada making videos up there, I didn't have the same tools, the same editing tools.
And you were in Canada because you had a Canadian girlfriend. You were living there for a while.
I did.
People don't know.
I had a Canadian girlfriend. Otherwise, I had a case of the not gays. And that's a little movie inside joke. Not gay because I had a girlfriend. So
was it a case or is it a lingering case?
Thank you. It's awesome. Again, flaming. So I was making videos with tools I didn't normally use. And because of that, I was using a lot more of my Q&A videos as filler instead of slides. And one of those videos has now been either changed owners or whatever. And now they're saying nobody can use it, which means those I've got at least 3 Strange World episodes, which are blocked in 200 and something countries. So it's like, great, fantastic. So I have to, luckily I have all the archives up at Truth Frequency Radio. So I just grab the audio, I throw it into the new slideshow, and then I put it up and I have to, but it still takes like 30, 40 minutes to do each one. So if you see, all these Strange World, why is Strange World 85 and 84 and 89? Why is that? Well, it's because I had to re-upload them because you can't view them anymore. And I hate that. I'm kind of anal that way, to where I hate, I'm not going to leave it up there if it's blocked, because then people are just going to email me and say, hey, it's blocked. And that's going to bug me. So there, kind of a long way around to say that I'm not doing it to be weird or anything. And I will leave the re-upload next to it in the title, so you guys don't think that I'm trying to do it for the hits, because I'm losing, because I have to kill the original. So I'm going to lose, 10,000, 12,000 a hit video. Yeah. But I don't care.
It happens.
It happens.
But I do want to say hello to everybody in the live chat. Oh, did I interrupt you? Go ahead. What we
No. You go ahead.
All right. Hello to Arwin and Celebrate Truth. Celebrate Truth. Robbie D just joined us, and Mark, you and I haven't. At least I don't know about you, but I haven't reserved my hotel for Edmonton yet. Have you?
I know.
Okay, let's do it right after. Not that we're not getting the same hotel room, but let's just vow to do it tonight.
Yeah, we'll do it tonight.
Vowing to do it.
I'll call you and we'll do it.
I promised Robbie, and I've already promised him a few times.
I took me longer than I thought to catch up from this trip.
Oh yeah,
it was a lot because I don't bring and eventually I'm going to have to start bringing laptops to things.
Yeah.
When I got back, I had lost a lot of sleep, ton of sleep. And 2, there was just a lot of media to catch up on. Plus, we had to deal with the whole IIG thing, which is the fact that we had the video out there, and once I knew that we had it of them, and I suppose in a perfect world we would have had the video footage taken from the other side of it. But the first thing they would have done is they would have said, okay, confirm. Is there a date timestamp on that? They were looking for excuses. And can I? Did you want to say more highs to people, or do you want me
I do, but continue with what you're saying.
Oh, well,
do that first.
Well, it was just that the IIG, especially Jim under prep, he absolutely.
I love it.
Patent pending.
Yeah.
The all rights.
DM.
Yeah. He was just digging. He would not. He just kept setting up defenses at every single level to where they wanted Nat Geo wanted him and I to be on camera together, looking at each other and arguing the points. And I said, look, this test is absolutely worthless. You're never going to shoot it during the day. You have to shoot it at night, especially with a laser. And he immediately jumped on that. Hopefully they'd leave it on camera. It says, no, any lasers over, whatever is it, X miles, like 8 miles, or he goes, they're illegal and you can only get them through the military, which is interesting that he would know that. And he was right. It's like, yeah, that's where we got it from. We ordered it through whatever special permit and got a military grade laser. He
refused to look at the footage anyway, regardless of what laser.
Well, yeah, that was it. And then we said, and not only that, there's a 100-page report that I sent to National Geographic before we even got to California, covering the whole Hungary test that was sanctioned by the Guinness Book of World Records. He's going, I don't want to see a report. He says, I want to see video. And then I followed that with, and yes, of course, we have video. Well, that video is not legitimate. That video, you have to do it in front of us. It's like, okay, so we can do it in front of any other independent group, and you're not going to acknowledge it because literally it's not in front of you. No, you don't get that. It's like, I trust Guinness Book of World Records far more than I trust this guy. He's a one-man show. There are very few skeptics groups in this country, and he's one of them in Los Angeles, and that's why he was brought into this. But no, he just, there was nothing at that point. We even challenged it. He goes, I want you to bring the laser out here. And then what would happen then? Then he would have tried to control the conditions of the test. I will only validate this test if you fire that laser 1 foot off the water. And why would you do that? Well, it's because that's the conditions. He'd make up some reason. Well, the only reason he'd want it 1 foot off the water is because he'd want that baby running into some waves, any sort of chop, hope for it, because that would kill, no laser could fire through it. It's like, why not do it 3 feet? Why not do it 6 feet? I guarantee he would. There's nothing we could do that would make him happy as far as the conditions of that test. And so he's one of my new people I want to hate.
All right. We'll add him to the list. We'll add him to the burn pile.
Yeah, that he and Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye and Brian Cox.
All right.
Michio, he's off the hook.
All right. For now, anyway. You never know when we might bring him back in. I do want to say hello. I want to say happy birthday. Hello. I want to say happy birthday to Karen P of the Sun and Moon channel. She has a birthday tomorrow, and I'm going to be on Sun and Moon on Friday. So that'll be cool. And what else? Oh, tomorrow's going to be a special show. Myself and DITRH are joining together to do a show at 6 p.m. Eastern on this very same channel. And it'll be, of course, about flat Earth and life hacks. So flat Earth life hacks. And that's tomorrow at this very same time this show starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So check it out. What else is going on? Live chat is going wild. Somebody earlier was saying, Mark likes to talk. Mark, shut up. Patricia wants to do some shout outs.
Fine. It's her show. Go ahead.
Hi to Flat Earth Vegans and Ridgeview And Twisted Pretzel just got banned for whatever he said. Thanks to Chris Topher for doing that. Shirtless Flat Earther says, thumbs up, yo. Yeah, please give the video a thumbs up because it looks like it's been trolled heavily. So we need to undo the damage they probably did. Although it doesn't matter. In YouTube's world, thumbs down, thumbs up, it's all engagement. It's fine with me. Hello to Metal Dog Reeds. And he said before the amount of boats started chopping up the water, it was flat and calm. Robbie D of Celebrate Truth said his wrench disappeared. I guess I was bad. No, every once in a while I take away everybody's wrench and then start over because I tend to give out wrenches like candy on Halloween. And then before you know it, it looks like a IPS chat with everybody with a wrench. And I don't want there to be that many wrenches because it may be off-putting to people. But sometimes you need them with all the crazy trolling. Walter William, hello. Bling Bling, the BS of the ISS, hello. Aislinn, Cami, Hori Sheet Show, and Jonathan Doherty, and Carolyn Gutman Day. And looks like Martin Liebke is thinking about getting his intent set to go to the United States and the Denver conference in November. So let's all focus our intent on Martin being there with us. That would be really pretty cool. What else is happening? Glenn Parent is here as well. Did I say Flat Earth Dude? I'm not sure. Don't really remember. Goddess Witch Bella is here too. Thanks for being around. And Ginger Sugarbush 905. And what else is happening here? Celebrate Truth is talking about the Flat Earth 2018 Canada billboard, which is half funded already. I need to donate to that. So definitely check out Robbie D's channel, Celebrate Truth. You'll find information on that, or you'll find him on Facebook and you'll see the billboard and just drop a few coins that way. It's always good to have a billboard on the site where you have a conference, I think anyway. What else? Let's see. Glenn Parent said Hudson Bay, Canada is huge and it's flat. Paula Knowledge Scavenger and Andersays are here too. And I could go up further and read more people, but I'm not going to because it looks like I might have run out of screen because, you know, how it goes with all the people that were commenting earlier have disappeared off the screen. Anyway, all right. Christopher is asking, what about IPS? He was awesome. You know, I have no idea, really. I saw a channel today. It looked like he was on. But I have no idea if that was really him or a rebroadcast from someone else. You just never know on YouTube. No idea. Okay, what else do we have? What else do we have, Mark? I think we've covered everything.
Have we covered everything?
By the way, Nathan, who was on earlier, Bipolar Flat Earth, said he went on his channel and the video was there. And why is everyone saying it wasn't there?
I don't know. Weird
Is it Mandela effect or the Mandela effect?
The Mandelta effect?
Maybe. Plant-based comedian. Hello. Just showed up. All right, I'm going to look on Bipolar.
While you're reading this stuff, I can ramble for a little bit. I just want to say thank you to everyone who was involved in any way with not only the meetup but that entire weekend. Flat Earthers were everywhere. What made this particular thing special for me, it wasn't the National Geographic thing. I mean, that's fun and all, but it was the fact that Flat Earthers just moved in mass to everywhere we went. So the first times we saw them, oh my God, how fun was that? Walking in, there's synchronicity for you. We're in the parking lot, and the Philtast license plate guy drives by as soon as we get in there.
And what does Philtast stand for those who don't know?
It's flat inside it. The word "it's" inside the word "flat." So every other letter. You can look at my license plate compilation. It's really, really cool. But he drove by just as we're getting out of the car.
Yeah, that was sort of weirdly surreal and super cool.
And who walks in? Who also drives by as we're getting ready to go in? But Rob Skiba, who is, remember, we were really late because it took longer. It took longer than either of our flights. It took longer to drive from LAX to the meetup, which was in Los Angeles. It was only 30 miles than it did to fly there. It only took me 2 hours and 10 minutes to fly there.
Well, also, the Skeptics group didn't give us a location where the whole event was to start at dawn. Ha ha ha. Right. So we didn't know where to go, one side of the lake or the other.
Meetup night.
Oh, the meetup. That was really long too. Horrible traffic.
But Rob Skiba shows up as soon as we get there, and we all walk in together. and it was just so much fun. And Nathan Thompson was already there, and Aaron Kreshak and all the people we talked about earlier. It was just, I recognized so many faces from the Pasadena meetup, which was fantastic. And the drama that I thought would be between National Geographic and CBS didn't happen. They worked that out, which was wonderful.
Fist fight.
Well, there's turf wars. Production is production.
One was like, well, we can talk to Patricia, but we can't talk to Mark. And the other was like, well, we can talk to Mark, but we can't talk to Patricia. And we're like, what?
Right. I know. And if Jaron had showed up, Jaron, where were you, man? He would have.
Jaron kind of showed up by live stream with Rob Skiba, so that helped.
Yeah, but
that was a very important live stream because that it was a very lengthy and it covered the whole event. So
yeah, that was great. And then when we broke from that, we went over to a Mexican restaurant, and there were still, I think, 30 of us. There were that we had to do 2 long tables at that Mexican restaurant. We were there until they closed. They kicked us out. And then they were just, flat earthers were milling around the parking lot. They wouldn't leave as we were driving away. And then we did another, did that flat earth dinner on Saturday with some of the core people that were involved in organizing the meetup. And then finally, the part that just, I'm not kidding you, I felt such warmth was when we went to the Salton Sea. Even though none of us knew anything about anything, right? There was no information, spread around about where we were going to go and who's going to do it. And we showed up in force. This is, fishing hours type of thing in a horrible place. We didn't even ask people. This is, 2 hours east of Los Angeles, and tons of flat earthers were there.
Yeah.
And it was great, and everyone, it was a really relaxed group. And of course, they got a little more surly as the temperature went up because we were more impatient. I was like, look, you guys are taking forever to do this test. We could do this test in 2 seconds. And we did. We were the ones let's face it, after you watch that footage, it's obvious without us, that test doesn't happen. They would have never found the other side. Never would have happened. They would have panicked, and they would have, there's nothing they could have done, and it wouldn't have got any exposure. Without us, it was irrelevant.
I do want to say Bipolar Flat Earth, Nathan, who was here earlier, said that it was on his channel. And I just looked right now and it's not there at all. But, the test with Mark Sargent from his show, that is there. But the video that we're talking about that's just you is not there in your channel. And I've looked several times. So I have no idea why it's not there. So
it's on mine. So
yeah,
anyone can mirror it. On mine, of course, it is called... Flat Earth Salton Sea Skeptics Test target side video, and it is the combination of Nathan's video and the Skunk Bay time lapse at the end, just to show people what we're talking about. And it's also a warning to any flat earthers that are out there. If you're gonna shoot before sunup, absolutely before sunup. Shoot with lights, shoot with lasers. And do not shoot in the middle of the day. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care where you are, because you're going to get temperature swings.
What happens if some other big outfit comes along and says they want to do a test over a warm body of water and they're going to prove it's a globe? What do we do? Do we show up and do what we did at this one? Make sure that they understand that this is built to spill, built to fail, so to speak.
Well, I mean,
or do we ignore it completely because our presence brings more media attention?
If they bring us in any capacity, yeah. I mean, remember, from where I stood there, I went there knowing, you and I talked about this at length. I knew full well what was going to happen. Everybody knew what was going to happen from the flat earth side. And so I just kept hammering them over and over, which is like, look, we don't do this test. Flat earthers learned a long time ago that you can't shoot over a warm body of water or any sort of body of water where the temperature, fluctuates to any length. And of course, never over a body of water with weather. If you can't, if you can help it, with the exception being a stable time lapse thing like Chicago skyline, something like that. But the rest of it is just worthless. We get way more bang for our buck if you shoot at night, if you shoot in cold weather, if you shoot with flashlights or whatever light source you have. And of course, the top of the line would be lasers. So that's That's all we can do. Is like, look, don't if you keep doing this, that's fine. Any photographer, I will just keep sending people the different versions of this. I will send them the Skunk Bay thing. I will send them road mirage. I will send them the heat distortion coming off of any other road. Everybody knows this. It is a common thing. Everybody knows when they're walking down a road or driving down a road, you look in the distance, look how weird it is and why everything's washed out. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. You could just look and see the buildings disappear and appear, and the cliffs, or not cliffs, and the mountains as well.
Oh yeah.
While we were sitting there, we didn't need balloons
down
to
there,
see that.
And the National Geographic, they wanted to talk to us like, I don't know, every was 30, 40 minutes or something like that. I mean, every time I was like, I just pointed out to the water. I'm going, look, that coastline is now changed. The what used to be there, the buildings there, they're gone. That mountain range down that looks like an island now, it used to have a little friend to the right of it. That thing's gone. That mountain has shrunk to where it's almost nothing. And Jim wouldn't even acknowledge. It's like, what do you think's happening here? Yeah, you got lucky. Either you got lucky or you were more clever than I thought. And I'm not going to give them that much credit, because they didn't even realize that they couldn't figure out how to actually find their target. So they lucked out with the heat, because by the time they shot, if had the test gone off at exactly 5:30 in the morning, no problem whatsoever. In fact, even when we remember that video that's up on my channel, even that was at after 7 o'clock, and we still had it. But after that, it was all bets were off. The sun started getting higher in the sky and the heat waves got bigger. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh, look, can barely see the balloons. Really? So. Well,
I'm looking in the live chat and I want to say hello to Karen B. and Mark of Zulu One channel and Ron Hageberg. And Bipolar Flat Earth has figured out the puzzle. He said the video got unlisted and he just changed it to public. So indeed, you can get it off the Bipolar Flat Earth channel. And as I said, all that will be in the description box. Mark's video, which you can feel free to share on your own channel, or sure. the Bipolar Flat Earth, Nathan's video. That's not put in a sort of context, but is definitely the raw footage. Right. So, yeah. Well, I think this has been a really fun show, and I think it's been informative, not with flat earth proofs, but with an explanation. If any of us in the community, and I use the word community, knowing that not everyone likes each other. Like I've said, dysfunctional family before, because we're all on the same team, we're all in the same family, but some of us don't like each other, and that's totally fine with me. Do you, and I'll do me. Right. But that this shows that if you get some comments on your video, or a friend in Flat Earth tells you, oh, Flat Earth was, or a friend of yours tells you Flat Earth was debunked due to the skeptics test, or they're calling it also a National Geographic test that the Earth's curved. Just remember, you now know the truth, and you are well armed to let them know exactly what did happen. Right. And we've all learned from this. We all kind of knew already about how the water can play tricks with the temperature and change perception. But this is just yet another lesson that will help us be more clear in the way we get experiments across to people when we have to explain it. So,
yeah. Agreed. And let me throw in one more point. Mm-hmm. When we first showed up there, remember, it was freaking dark. The moon was out when we were driving down there, you and me and Stephen. And when we got there, I walked down to the beach, and I could easily see the buildings with the lights on the shoreline. That's the point. Is like, look, they were right there. Could see it along the entire line. And within 3 hours, we couldn't even see the buildings anymore. So what does that tell you? Did the curvature just magically appear 3 hours later? No, not at all. It just meant that the distortion just started kicking in. It just got higher and higher and higher. It is no joke. Look at the time-lapse footage and watch it. It's only 4 minutes long. Watch the Skunk Bay time-lapse footage at the end. You can either look it up on the original channel or look it up on my video that I just put out, the Flat Earth Salton Sea Skeptics Test. It's wild, the amount of distortion, and it varies on top of it. I mean, it goes up, it goes down, the buildings extend, and then all of a sudden there's no land.
And National Geographic, right where they were, could see that happening in front of their very eyes. But you know what? People don't notice that. They're too busy, especially Nat Geo, looking at their phones, looking at their computer equipment.
They were busy.
They were busy.
Had to set up the drones.
And meanwhile, truth is all around them. And that can be said for all of us. In Flat Earth, once you get this far, you are starting to look around and not just look down at your phone anymore, because we've become more awake in this awakening process. But it is true. Life can pass you by and you can miss out on truth. So keep your eyes peeled. I also noticed when we arrived in the morning at dawn, waiting for the test that was supposed to be beginning at dawn. I remember as we were driving, you said, well, we'll know we're in the right place because we'll see them inflating balloons. It'll be a big group of people. Well, they weren't even really there yet, inflating any balloons. So I was wrong.
No, I forgot this real quick, even though Nathan, I think, said it briefly, which was, and National Geographic, I don't think it's going to talk about it, and that was the heat rose so quickly that the long distance photography, the targets, the balloons exploded.
Oh yeah, I mentioned
both of them. And when that it's like, how did that happen? Oh, I don't know, because you waited too long. You were never supposed to wait for the sun to get that bright,
right?
To where the helium balloons, and they didn't look like they were that tight. They expanded, and then they detonated. And that was it. That was the end of that part of the test, no matter what. So,
well, when we came in, I was looking skyward and nothing was much happening. We were kind of waiting for things to begin. Yeah. And I saw a plane fly by, and several people did. And we watched as it left a trail in the sky. Yeah. And that trail in the sky was like a dot trail, not a straight across trail. And then the plane disappeared. And then we watched as the sky was covered over in fine mist. And it made me think, because I'm a conspiracy person, that maybe that was the powers that should not be sent a plane to make the visibility even worse. I know that's crazy talk, right? But right above where we were, right above at 5 a.m.
Yeah, it was an interesting weekend, and I hope I never have to go back to that one. Because it's just an awful location. I mean, and Angel said it best, in my opinion, where he said, look, it strike anybody as strange that even though everyone was based in Los Angeles, we didn't go to, I don't know, the ocean, which Los Angeles borders for hundreds of miles. Why we didn't go there and do a shot across Catalina Island? Look at Catalina or look at something across. And the reason why you wouldn't do that is because there's not much wiggle room there. The island's either there or it's not there, but plenty of people have taken that shot. Taking this one across the Salton Sea in the desert, you got lots of, all you had to do was wait for the heat. And that was it. And it was over. And they were fortunate because the Nat Geo was going to hang out there. They had booked it all the way till 3 o'clock. And I think they used all of it. They booked the whole park, and I think they were there literally until 3.
Stephen Chess, who has the channel where he explores flat Earth weather, was saying he went back to LA that day, and there were chemtrails in the sky there too. So, I don't know what those chemtrails do. I don't know, but I know that they make the sky all cloudy and misty and gray. And I don't know the exact components. I don't know who's doing it. None of us really do. We'd only be hazarding a guess, but we know it's not natural. It's not what skies used to look like. And it's not just regular planes flying by because, well, we know. Well, thanks to everyone in the live chat. I truly appreciate it. And as I said earlier, give the video a thumbs up. Mark Sargent's channel, if you're not yet subscribed, it's in the description box, as are the number of people that we've had on the show today and their various videos. So, as I said earlier, DITRH and I will be on June 14th, which is tomorrow, 2018, for episode 235, 235 of Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. It's going to be Flat Earth Life Hacks. So join us for that. And then on Friday, the 15th, I'm going to be on with the Sun and Moon group, Karen. And that's pretty much all she wrote.
Cool.
And until we meet again, Mark, how should we keep it?
Flat?
Yeah, that'll do. Keep it flat.
Hail Hydra, George.